So, hello and welcome to Some Boy Online. Today we're in the lovely city of Bristol, the home of Aardman Animations and Wallace and Gromit. And we are here for Gromit Unleashed 3, specifically the exhibition which is the greatest dog show on earth. So we're going to be having a look today and speaking to some artists and people behind this lovely exhibition. So, let's go. After a long drive down to Bristol, we arrived at the Cribs Causeway Mall to meet some of the team from Aardman and The Grand Appeal. At the Gromit Unleashed shop, we had a chat with the charity's commercial director, Anna Hitchcock, who manages the retail side of things. So could you kind of give us an overview of your backstory with the charity?
Yeah, of course. So back in 2013 we had Gromit Unleashed 1. And that's where I was brought on as an intern, actually. But what grew really quickly from the start of the trails was the retail side, because people really embraced the sculpture trails, loved what they saw. They love Aardman because of its base being in Bristol. They love Wallace and Gromit. But then off the back of the trail, we were able to not only sell all the amazing sort of Wallace and Gromit merchandise that's available to buy, but make our own merchandise based on the sculptures.
Yeah.
So the thing that's really popular for us is miniatures of the trail sculptures. So they're based on the bigger ones that are on the trail, and we have lots of collectors that love to buy the whole lot. So we've made over 100 now. We're edging towards 110, and we do have quite a lot of collectors with every single one.
Yeah, well, I thought they were quite small.
Yeah, no,
from
they're
seeing them
good
online, but
size,
they were a
yeah.
good size
Yeah.
and a good weight as well.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's
lots
like-
of people always say that when they
Yeah,
pick them up. They
like
expect
the-
them to be lighter than they
yeah.
are, and they're like, oh.
So yeah, I suppose I wanted to ask as well why the charity is really close to you in particular, which I have an idea about if you'd like to go into that, you know.
Yeah. So everything that we fundraise for goes to support Bristol Children's Hospital and also the neonatal intensive care unit at St Michael's. So it includes everything at the shop. So everything, all of the profit goes to the Grand Appeal and then supports our work in the Children's Hospital. And I've had, my own experiences in the Children's Hospital with my son. So he was diagnosed with leukemia about 5 years ago now. And so he received treatment for that for a little under 3 years in Bristol Children's Hospital. So chemotherapy and all sorts of different things to help him beat that. And, there's lots of things as a family that you need to support you at that time. And a lot of that is making the place inviting for children and not scary. And all those things just make life that little bit easier when you're going through a really hard time.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, because it's quite literally, I don't think it's what first comes to mind to people in the public, so having been so close to that experience, it's really
That's
good
it, yeah.
to
I
share
think,
that with people, This year, has it been fun? Has it been
This year's
a good
been
time?
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so lucky, the relationship that we have, that we've been able to do this off the back of the new film as well. The interest definitely spiked, but that's kind of the incredible thing about Wallace and Gromit. It doesn't go away, does it? It's on our TVs every Christmas. Like, I grew up with it, and everyone loves it.
You'd think that having not had a film, that would have affected the Gromit, who's the, but everyone knows who Gromit is still.
Of course, people come from all around the world to see the trails.
Yeah.
I mean, people buy Wallace and Gromit merchandise from all across the world from our shop.
Which is up in Bristol now. We've just had a nice look around, and there is plenty of Wallace and Gromit merch for any fans out there. Now it was time to head outside to the enormous marquee in which the exhibition was held. After passing an army of mini Norbots, rather impressively designed by children from local schools, we found ourselves surrounded by sculptures. One of which was King of Diamonds by Emily Toomey, who also happened to design the exhibition as a whole. This beautiful statue here,
Yes.
yours truly.
Yep,
You
this
could
is my...
feel free to go into the details of it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, this is my Feathers McGraw sculpture. He's called King of Diamonds. And he is based, he's inspired by Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, because this Trails theme is the movies and characters that inspire them.
Yep.
So I have just covered him in sort of the patterns you'd find on playing cards. And he was quite tricky to paint because,
Lots of straight
lots
lines
of straight
and stuff.
lines
Look at that
on
here.
a round body. But I feel like the colours really pop on him, and he's been well loved over the trail. So I really enjoyed painting him.
Yeah. It must be really cool to see them kind of out there and stuff, after you've done these designs and then unleash them into the wild,
Unleashed, nice.
Yes.
Gromit
I
Unleashed.
didn't notice that. There you
Fun
go.
there.
I've name dropped it.
It is. I mean, it's very rewarding. All the artists here basically put so much effort into the sculptures, and I think that's the payoff. You know, they go out into the public and we get so much love over social media. People emailing us saying how much they love the trails. So basically they've all been winners this trail. It's been a really good selection of sculptures.
I have to agree. There's so much variety as well, you know, in them and everything. And tell us a bit about these, you know, lovely graphics and sections and
yeah, sure. Well, like I said, so the theme is the movies, and this is the Greatest Dog Show on Earth exhibition. We've done a couple of these before, but we try to categorise the sculptures just to sort of link to the theme as well. So I have tried to design the tent to look a little bit like movie sets.
Yeah.
So we've clumped them into like world travellers, glitz and glamour. We've got in an English country garden over there, and then put a sort of scene that would fit most of them behind each sculpture, just to give it that little bit more well, a movie feel, I guess, and it's more of an experience for trail goers, because a lot of people coming to the exhibition will have seen all of these sculptures before. So you want to give them something new. And then it was actually, yes, down to me and a few of my colleagues in office to try and group them together. That was actually quite hard, you know, because some of them work very well together. You're always going to get the outliers, but I don't think people mind. You know, we want to make them look special because people are going to buy these as works of art. Yeah,
and the auction is going to be here as well.
The auction's going to be here, we're going to sort of turn it all around for one night only. Each sculpture gets its moment.
That's what it's all leading up to. And, you know, speaking of the sculptures, this one kind of pops out a bit. Can you tell us a bit about Yellow Submarine? Yeah,
well, I am a very big Beatles fan, and when we were thinking of the movie theme, you know, Yellow Submarine, it's iconic, it's so graphic and bold. I just felt like it would really suit Gromit's ears with the periscopes. You know, it's like this was an absolute dream come true to paint this one, and obviously thanks to amazing collaboration with Aardman, we were able to be in touch with Sir Paul McCartney, and he really loved the sculpture and he has signed the ear, which is unbelievable. And just then ups it again to make it an even more desirable piece of art and a collector's item, really.
I mean, that must have been really kind of, you know, a cool moment.
It was very cool.
To have his approval.
Yeah. We've got a picture of him with the sculpture, which, we'll share with people at the auction. And it's just great. But aside from, you know, the collaboration with Paul McCartney, it's just a colourful, great design as well. And just really good fun, that one.
Well, that's really awesome. I think he might be a favourite, you know.
Oh, what?
It might be.
Well,
you know.
he might be mine as well.
I love the backstory, though.
Yeah.
That's really unique.
It's special.
We then took a seat alongside Wallace and Sarah McBride, who was the head of philanthropy at the Grand Appeal. It's her job to liaise with the right people to secure as much funds as possible for the charity. So, I suppose, where did your journey begin with the Grand Appeal and all of that, you know, because it's been a really cool story that's evolved over time, I think.
Definitely. Well, I've actually been with the charity for 16 years, and over that time the charity has changed enormously. So the first trail that we did was in 2013, when we worked very closely with Aardman, our amazing partners, and did our first ever Gromit Unleashed. So we had over 80 sculptures in that trail, and we knew how loved they were on the trail. Like, it, you know, it did really blow up that summer. There was just queues, everyone having their photo taken, etc. And then the exhibition was a huge success. People were just queuing for hours to get in. And then, but you know, you still never know until, you know, you get to the auction and to really know how successful they were. And the first one went for £36,000, and we just fell off our chairs. And and then here we are today. So the last trail we did was in 2018, so it's been a long while since we've had these guys, and I'm sure you've already gone through this, but we've got the new character Norbot this time.
Plenty of Norbots going around. Lovely designs.
I know, and I've got a lot of people that are very excited about the auction, and so are we. And you know, we're sitting with this very special guy here. This is Mr. Darcy, We have a wonderful family who have actually sponsored this sculpture, actually in memory of her husband. It was positioned up in Clifton in the observatory by the suspension bridge, because that's where she went on her first date with her husband. And so it was a lovely story.
They kind of disappear from the public eye once they get auctioned off, but they have a life beyond that, you know, and all of these people from everywhere are buying them. So, you know, without saying too much, can you give us an idea of what kind of people buy these sculptures?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have a huge, like, just grand appeal followers and supporters that just want to support the charity. And, you know, we've got a very loyal base that buy the sculptures. Obviously, Aardman fans, Wallace and Gromit fans, but it's not just centred around Bristol, it's very much the Southwest and the UK, and we've actually shipped quite a few across the world as well. And then hopefully, you know, it's all eyes on the prize is raising money for Bristol Children's Hospital. That is what we're here for.
And, you know, 2025 marks 30 years of the grand appeal and its relationship with Aardman, which is, you know, really evolved over the years. But I'm interested to know the kind of, you know, the origins of the relationship between Wallace and Gromit and the charity back in 95.
95,
you know, really cool.
It was. So the charity was set up to part fund the new Children's Hospital in Bristol. Back then it was a Victorian, old, beautiful but crumbling building that wasn't kind of fit for purpose for the amount of children that it needed to care for. So a new children's hospital had to be built. And obviously with Aardman in the city, it was like, why not? You've got to approach them. So we did, and asked them to create a mascot for the charity. And being the amazingly generous and kind gentlemen they are, Nick, Pete and Dave said, actually, well, I think it was Nick, said, why don't we give them Wallace and Gromit? And it was like, well, wow. That I mean, that's, you know, that's a money can't buy.
It's probably not what you know was expected at the time.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's just so generous, and you know, and since then we've never looked back, and that's why the partnership between us is just so special. Nick, Pete, and Dave, they've all been patrons of the charity for such a long time. They're really involved, and especially with our trails is another way to, you know, engage them.
It seems like a really solid relationship, and one that's, you know, it's instantly apparent. If you know you in any way know Aardman, you'll have probably heard of the Grand Appeal because they're so closely linked.
Intrinsically linked,
so you know, it's lovely to have that, and it's really beneficial for, you know, for both parties, and most importantly the kids that it's helping, you know. So thanks, Sarah, for your time.
Cheers.
And yeah, we'll see what else is in store.
Treasured Island is unique in that it's being given away to a lucky raffle winner, much to the delight of artist Laura Hallett.
This is a particularly significant one that I think, because I've seen it on social media and everything, because it is in fact being given away to a lucky winner. It's kind of part of it, you know, raffle. So how does it feel to have a statue that's been treated in this way? Because it's unlike any, you know, all of the other statues, you can't win them unless you have, you know, plenty cash to bid. So yeah, how's that?
I love that it could just be in someone's garden or someone's conservatory, or that just anyone could access it, because it's not the kind of thing that normally you get to go around the trail, but you don't get to go to the auction and bid thousands of pounds for an amazing sculpture. But it's really awesome to know that it could just go to anyone.
Yeah, it's lovely. He does stand out kind of on his own. Can you kind of go through the first of all, the inspiration behind them, and then how long was it, like, you know, the process of actually, because there's so much detail on him.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail. I always do maps, and they do take a really long time. So he's inspired by Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, and we've done our own take on it, celebrating the British Isles as our treasured island. So there's little nods to Treasure Island. So there's because there's lots of links between Bristol and the book. There's lots of destinations that are said to have inspired it. So there's an X marks the spot on Bristol. The main boat from Treasure Island is seen leaving the port of Bristol, and then there's just lots of highlights of the British Isles. And I tried to choose things that might appear on a sort of old treasure map. Yeah. So we've got a few mythical creatures like the Loch Ness Monster, and
is that a puffin on the front?
That is a puffin, yeah. So that's Pembrokeshire.
It was just that historical beast and that.
Yeah,
puffin on
also
the front.
puffin. It's sort of a mixture of things like that, and just some of the beautiful things in the British Islands.
It is really eye-popping, I think, and it's cool. You know, it didn't really occur to us. I'm like, oh, it's a Treasure Island reference.
Yeah.
Didn't see all the British stuff, so that's really cool.
Yeah, well, you can see it more on one side than the other. So I had to mould the shape of the British Isles round a grommet, which is a bit tricky, as you can imagine.
Yeah. So what? How kind of long did that take, start to
I
finish?
think well, there's the design process. So they gave me the brief and then a few days designing it, and then I think I counted at all my hours, and it was about 15 full days of painting in the studio.
15 full days.
A long time.
Wow.
A lot of it was spent painting just the sea as well, because
Yeah, the
there's
blue,
quite
yeah.
a lot of texture and tonal, different shades
'Cause
and
it
things
looks like-
around the land.
Yeah, it's at the shades of the
Yeah,
sea.
so that took a
different
really
tones of
long
blue.
time actually, because he's just so big.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see who wins Treasured Island.
Yeah, so am I.
Is it? Do you know? Is it going to be revealed around the time of the auction, or?
I'm not actually sure. I think it's shortly afterwards,
It
or,
should. I'd imagine around. Yeah.
or maybe on the day. Yeah, I think it might be shortly afterwards. I know you've got till. I think you've got till
Friday,
3rd
3rd
of October. Yeah, I was
There
going
you
to say
go,
early
yeah.
October to
Yeah. On the
to
helpful
enter. Yeah,
sign here.
handy
lovely.
poster.
Although it's kind of in with the whole film theme and everything. It looks
Yes,
very Hollywood and
it
stuff.
does.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But that's not all. One final guest had agreed to come down and chat with us, and after a nice cup of tea and a catch-up, we headed over to discuss Super Ply Guy.
So yeah, this particular artist, some of you may recognise as Merlin Crossingham, who directed Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. I had the pleasure of interviewing Merlin at Christmas last year, and it's been class to come down and see you in person in Bristol.
Very nice to meet you in person as well.
And yeah, so what brings us here is that you've created this rather splendid sculpture.
Yeah.
And it's so different to all of the others, in the way that it was made. So I'm really interested to know, first of all, what was the inspiration behind it? Because you've been making films and everything, and then it's I'll do a feather statue.
Yeah.
Where'd the idea come from, and then how did you go about it?
Yeah, sure. So he's called Real Ply Guy because he's made out of plywood.
Yeah.
And apart from filmmaking, I do just like making things. Back in 2011, I made a plywood framed bicycle, which I called the Ply Cycle, which still rides.
It works.
It works. It's hollow. It's really strong. It's almost as strong as a steel framed bike. Rides really well. And I made that home in my garage. And over the years, I've also made contributions to other Grand Appeal trails. So I've done Me Old China, and I did a feathers, it's called O Bollards at the last trail. And so when the Grand Appeal asked me to think about what I could do for Unleashed 3, I thought I'd just love to make one, not just paint one.
From scratch.
From scratch. So I kind of thought, I wonder if I can do it at plywood. And so I played with the idea for a bit, and then I decided to give it a whirl. He's one of only a couple that are completely bespoke and aren't painted. He's very last minute, Larry. I think he was the last one to be finished.
Really?
On the day that the trail started. The main thing that makes him most unique for me is that the other Feathers McGraws are a sculpt interpretation that's been scaled up from a small model by eye.
Yeah.
This Feathers McGraw is actually based on a CG scan of the puppet from Vengeance Most Foul.
That's cool.
And the reason I did that was because each layer of plywood has been cut on a CNC router to get the basic shape, which I then stacked up and glued.
Yeah.
It was quite knobbly and bobbly, and then I had to take off the knobbles and bobbles and smooth it down and did all the gluing. We had the help of a great studio in Bristol called Coalesce, who gave me studio space and really helped me out producing it. I did all the hand finishing, and there was a point halfway through where I wasn't quite sure if we were going to make it.
Especially with such a short,
Yeah, well, that was partly my fault because we only pressed the big green go button on it with a couple of weeks left to run, and that was partly due to my own timings and availability. He's hollow.
Oh.
If
I
we'd
didn't
made
think
him,
he was.
if we'd made him solid, we couldn't have put the reinforcements in. So off this metal base, there's some 12mm bar, threaded bar that goes up through his legs into his body. That means his from about here down is bolted onto this metal base. The top half, which is hollow, is then bonded on top.
So he ain't going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. Because if this bit down here was just plywood on his legs, it would have snapped in the blink of an eye. So we had to have some engineering help to make him sort of survive the public, if nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you wouldn't expect, you know, that's the thing, that the plywood kind of angle, you know, especially with something that needs to survive the elements, but you've really made it so that he is robust and that, you know.
That's right. I mean, when I finished him, he was absolutely dead smooth, but he's been outside over this scorching hot summer, and I can feel here that one of the bonding layers I think he's shrunk a bit. He's dried out, so he's changed a little bit. I love, like, down the back of his neck, he's got all grubby where people have been sort of caressing him and having their pictures taken, and I love that. I love it about the whole trail, that people want to come and not only see them but kind of hug them, and there's very polite queues of people to come and see the.
It's just the handcrafted kind of nature of it, you know, that the fact that it's like DIY. I love that.
Well, that was very much coming out of the back of Vengeance Most Foul, which, you know, as movies go, is very handcrafted.
Yeah.
I felt, you know, I wanted to do something. When you direct a film like that, you don't actually do much hands-on stuff yourself. You do a lot of asking other people to do lovely craft work for you. And so I really liked literally getting my hands dirty making his feathers. The other unique thing about this feathers is that he's the only Feathers McGraw sculpt on the trail that isn't looking straight ahead. He's looking off to the left. And that is because the CG sculpt that I used is the same one that was used as the master for the bronze in Preston.
Oh.
So his head angle.
The remote and that,
so his head angle and his body, we repositioned his arms. We couldn't have any air gap on his arms, so we repositioned his wings in tight, but the head and the neck and everything. And it means he's a very true representation of Feathers McGraw.
Yeah. So cool. But it's like what we spoke about at the time that you mentioned the handcrafted nature of the film.
Yeah.
And it's quite literally like you needed to get the physical, the hands-on creativity thing out of your system.
Absolutely.
And put it into this.
You know, I was an animator many years ago, and I love, you know, the hands-on process of stop motion. I've always been a maker, and so it just felt like I needed to do this. And I had the time to do it, and so here he is. I'm very proud of him as well. He polished up nicely. There were when the lacquer went on, he had sort of had this matte woodness, but when the lacquer came on, all of the different stripes, all the different colours of the wood just popped right out, and very nice.
That's the thing from the first glance, considering all the other statues, you'd almost think that it was an artist had drawn a wood effect on it, then you come closer to him and you realise.
Anecdotally, we've had a lot of people the kids go, "Oh look, it's made of wood," and the parents go, no, it's just been painted to look like wood. And then they walk off, and they don't actually look closely and realise that
the kids are right.
It is actually made of wood. But yeah, real ply guy.
But yeah, so cool. I mean, he deserves the spotlight. I think it would be cool to just imagine him, you know, going off in the auction and what kind of money he's going to raise.
I really hope that somebody falls in love with him and can't go home without him and pay a lot of money for him for the charity.
Yes, that would be very nice.
Selling it at £42,000. Sold.
Well, thank you, Merlin, for your time
you're
discussing
more
the
than welcome.
statue and everything. It's been great to come down and see you and everything. Yeah, you can say ta-ra to the fans.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya. Right, so that was Gromit Unleashed 3. It's been so fun to come down to Bristol and completely kind of surreal and weird. We've just been talking to Merlin Crossingham, who directed the last Wallace and Gromit film. He's really chill, and so, you know, thanks to the people at Aardman that made this all possible, and the lovely people at the charity and the artists and all of that, you know. Look at this. This is a real, like, a hedge. This is the bottom half of a grommet, which is like a pot, and apparently they didn't know what to do with it, so they stuck a hedge in it, and it's grown into a grommet, which is really cool. In regards to the charity, if you want to donate, you know, you've heard all of the lovely stories from various people. Links will be in the description down below to do that. So that's all from me, and I'll see you next time.